welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Aaron, and as we record or do this right now, I know it's going to be available later on YouTube and on other platforms, but it's March, and with all due respect to some of the other holiday seasons, I think some people might say this is the most wonderful time of the year. We have the NBA season kind of winding down. It's March Madness right now. So I think it's fitting that we can talk to our guest today about basketball. Now, it's fun to watch some of the best basketball players in the world do what they do, but how do they get to that point? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I am talking to Bill Foran. Bill is an NSCA certified strength and conditioning specialist who has been with the Miami Heat since the organization was founded in 1988. In his first 29 seasons, he was the team's head strength and conditioning coach. After that, he served as a strength and conditioning consultant. As his son, actually, Eric, assumed the role as head strength and conditioning coach. Among his many accolades, he was named the 2009 Co-NBA Strength Coach of the Year and the 2017 NSCA Professional Strength and Conditioning Coach of the Year. In 2014, he was inducted into the USA Strength and Conditioning Coaches Hall of Fame. And in 2021, he became the first recipient of the National Basketball Strength and Conditioning Association Lifetime Achievement Award. That award has since been named in his honor. That same organization, the NBSCA, has recently released complete conditioning for basketball, and we are going to tell you all about it today. So again, thank you so much, Bill, for joining me today. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Thank you, Aaron. Glad to be here, and thank you to Human Kinetics for putting this together.
Now, you have had an accomplished career, as I just highlighted, a lot of your accolades and accomplishments, but I'm always interested in the origin story. Where did your interest in strength and conditioning begin, and how did you get to where you are today?
I have a few stories. So starting out, right out of college, my first job is I coached high school football and taught elementary PE. Oh, okay. Smallest school in the conference. Hadn't had a winning season in a few years. This is the late 70s. I'm looking at these athletes. I said, we got to make them better. Yeah. So strength and conditioning program, kind of rare in the 70s. And we started winning. And that's when I knew I liked developing athletes more than the X's and O's of sport. And already taking grad classes at Michigan State in exercise phys. Okay. I was able to move to Michigan State as the first grad assistant in strength and conditioning. So I went from high school to grad assistant, and it doesn't happen now. That next summer, there were two openings at the college level, Mississippi State and Washington State. Okay. Fortunate enough to get the job at Washington State, but grad assistant now, this was a brand new profession back then. So at Washington State, they hadn't been to a bowl game in 50 years. Wow. Went a little bit in the bowl game, and that got me to University of Miami. Okay. I was at University of Miami, 85 to 89. We went 55-5, 2 national championships, 2 number 2s. Let a couple get away. The Heat came to town as an expansion team in 1988. Okay. And practiced their first time at University of Miami. And the practice court was right next to the weight room. And the Heat asked me if I would be their strength and conditioning coach just to help this new team. Okay. And the university allowed me to do that. I didn't take away from my university. It was on different times to make it work. Yep. Well, March of that first year, the head coach for the Heat, Ron Rothstein, came to me and said, would you be interested in coming on full time? And okay. I could move up to the pro level with 15 athletes instead of 400 athletes at the college and not have to move. I said, yeah, I'd be interested. We were you, but
yeah, I think your audio cut out a little bit there.
I don't get many calls. Thank you. So anyway, he said, Billy Cunningham, Hall of Famer, was our managing partner. He says, Billy's always in his office early before games, and he wants to talk to you about strength and conditioning. So I'm in with Billy, kind of how I see strength and conditioning for basketball and at the NBA level. And there's a knock on his office door. It was Wilt Chamberlain.
Oh, wow.
Wilt was in town for a volleyball tournament, wanted to see his old buddy Billy. So he comes in, Billy introduces me, and what we're talking about, and Wilt says, you know, Billy, when I was at University of Kansas, basketball players could not touch a weight. They wouldn't allow us. But I was also on the track team, and we lifted weights all the time. Says everybody thought I dominated because I was bigger than everybody. Says, hell, I was stronger than everybody. You got to have a strength and conditioning coach. Thank you, Wilt.
Right.
The start of my career at University of Miami. I mean, at Miami Heat then.
So, I mean, that obviously holds quite a bit of weight when someone like that can say, hey, I was in the strength and conditioning program, and that's what helped me get to where I am today, for sure. So I guess after that, then a follow-up there, did you see a lot more buy-in after that to, you know, basketball players kind of buying in, I guess, a little more to the strength and conditioning program?
Yeah, we have a thing called heat culture.
Okay.
And Pat Riley, having him have your back because he's all in with strength and conditioning. Quick story on Pat. We'll get back to that.
Yeah. So
the summer of 1995, I'm hearing rumors that Pat Riley might be coming to town.
Okay.
The New York Knicks at the time. I went out and bought his book, The Winner Within. And so I'm reading it, and on page 235, he talks about the Knicks strength coach who he thinks is the best in the NBA.
Okay.
Coaches bring their own guys.
Right.
But our managing partners, Billy Cunningham and Lou Schufel, were being bought out by the owners, the Arison family, but they redid three people's contracts their last week in office, and one was mine. They gave me a 3-year deal.
Okay.
So I told my wife, I said, you know, coaches bring their own guys, but we're going to be okay. We got a 3-year contract. We'll land on our feet. So the first meeting with Pat Riley, first thing he said, he says, I'm into two things. I'm into, wow, conditioning and fundamentals.
Okay.
He said, if you have those two things, you have a chance. And anything in life, if you're fundamentally sound and you're conditioned to it, you should succeed. So that was the first thing in the meeting. And the last thing in that first meeting, he says, you have a year to prove yourself.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Pat, well, during that year, Magic Johnson was out of the league with HIV, but he had a traveling basketball team, and they had played in Brazil, and he came through Miami on the way back to LA, wanted to see his old coach, Pat. He wanted to get a workout, so he's in working out. And I kind of jogged his memory. So as a rookie, Magic, they won the world championship. His second year, they got knocked out in the first round. He was back in East Lansing when I was at grad school, and the basketball managers that were there when he won the national championship put together an intramural softball team.
Okay.
So I got to bat third, and Magic batted fourth. So he's working out, I'm jogging his memory a little bit. And then at the end of the workout, he was doing some ab exercises. I guess now we call it core.
Yep.
But I said, here, let me show you a couple things. I wanted to kick his ass just a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, Pat said, I don't know what you did to Magic, but boy, was he impressed. Thank you, Magic.
Right.
Hey, culture and weight training, conditioning in the NBA. So Pat Riley just bought in, and our guys bought in. I rarely had issues because if somebody wasn't working hard or complaining, I just say, hey, I'm here for you. I want you to be the best basketball player you can be.
Mm-hmm.
And so they bought in.
Right.
And then it's just grown the Heat culture.
Yeah. Yep. So I know you've probably met a lot of people throughout your career, other strength coaches within the league, within the association, within complete conditioning for basketball. Within the book, there are what I believe 13, 14 contributors. What can you say about their experience and what they kind of the knowledge base that they bring to this?
It was a joy to work with these people. So what I did is through the association, when Human Kinetics approached me to put this book together, I went out and there's 12 chapters. And of those 12 chapters, I got a head NBA strength coach for each chapter. One chapter had the head and the assistant, and then myself. So there's a total of 14 NBA strength and conditioning coaches, and they each had their chapter and are experts at that, and I'm really proud how it came together.
So over the years, I mean, you talked about a little bit about your experience, you know, when you first got into the NBA and, you know, started training basketball players up until now. I'm sure quite a bit has changed. What are some of the changes as far as like physical preparation that you've seen over the years to how we got today? Has strength training increased? Has there been maybe a bigger focus on recovery too? What has your experience been like with that?
Yeah, from there to now, it's changed a lot as far as the training, as far as technology, as far as all those things. Everything is better.
Yeah.
Like one aspect, back in the day, crunches and back extensions, that was the core work. Now we have a whole chapter on core training.
Yep.
It is so important, and it's not just flexion extension. You got anti-lateral flexion, anti-rotation, hit all the three planes of movement. So the science, everything has moved forward. And you mentioned recovery, and have a chapter on recovery, and talk about the 4 MVPs of recovery, and that's sleep, nutrition, and work capacity. And if you have those things, you're going to recover quicker. So yeah, it's pretty detailed, cover everything about strength and conditioning for basketball book.
It also mentions the 4 pillars of performance, which are, you know, physical, technical, tactical, and psychological. I guess from your experience, is there one of those components more important than another? Do they all just kind of work together for you as far as basketball? How would you kind of break that down?
They do work together. In my world, we start with physical, of course, but basketball players, they got, we call it world-class conditioning.
Okay.
Number one, of all the athleticism components, conditioning's got to be first, because the worst way to lose is you fatigue in the fourth quarter, you get beat.
Yep.
So conditioning at the top, but then strength, power, speed, agility, quickness, it all ties in. So the physical is big, but then you got to look at the mental part, you know, the mindset. You look at the best evers and their mindset and their work ethic because of that mindset. You look at Michael Jordan or Kobe, it's amazing. So they all work together, but if you have those two, that mindset with willing to work and get in world-class shape, then you got something.
Okay. Now, I guess when we are right now, at least at this point in the season, we are, you know, kind of going into the final stretch. You know, colleges entering their tournament right now. When we're thinking about postseason, whether that is the, you know, NBA playoffs, NCAA tournament, maybe this will apply to some other people that watch and listen to this at the AAU or travel level. You know, what does training look like in that sense as far as the postseason? You know, You might be on the road. There's not much time in between games, but you still have to do something in terms of, keeping your body ready.
Exactly. We always talked about we want to be in our best condition for the playoffs, strong and in condition. And in basketball games throughout the season, by then they've adapted and getting used to the travel, all the games. Your body's adapted. You're in the best condition for that. But then there's also the weight training part of it. We want to be strong there too. So throughout the season, you need to do your weight training. We would do 2 workouts a week throughout the maintain and monitor that we are maintaining. And then once that gets there, you can back off a little. It might be once a week during the playoffs or whatever, but we've maintained that strength throughout the season. So you should be able to carry it over the next 1 to 2 months, how long you're in the playoffs.
Okay. So I think something that people listening might be interested in, I think in general, as far as if you're periodizing a plan, people probably know in general kind of what an off-season training plan might be. But if we're talking about, preseason and in-season, what does that look like from your experience? Like what can coaches expect to do there?
The big thing is we want total body strength. So we got to make sure it's total body and balanced. You're not nearly the volume of the off season. You backed off on that, but you still have to move weight. So that's the big thing. Twice a week, and then I look at fundamentally when it's going to be real light, but you got to do something. Hit the legs, hit the hips, pushing, pulling, and core.
Okay.
And so you got to make sure you cover the total body. And if you're doing that and you've done it all season, you should be good to go in the playoffs.
Okay. Now, I know that I have to ask in this sense, you've been with the Miami Heat, since it started. You won your first NBA championship in 2006. I believe the team has been back 6 times since then. Obviously winning the back-to-back titles in 2012, 2013. In your position within strength and conditioning or sports performance side, was there anything that stood out maybe more in those years when you had that level of success?
Yeah, those are the ones you remember most. Like our first in 06, Shaq was in town. We had Shaq on that and a young D Wade. And Shaq got a little heavy out in LA and came to us and bought into the Heat culture and world-class fitness. And he got in great shape, could move again, helped us win our first championship. So you always think about that. And then from, what was it, 10, 11 to 4 years, the 4 years, 4 NBA finals, 2 championships back to back, big 3, LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D Wade. And a lot of crazy stories on that. They called them the Heatles, like Beatles, because when we'd travel and at the hotels, it was pretty amazing to see. Those are the best years. You got to enjoy them because they're few and far between. A lot of teams still have never won a championship. I've been fortunate to be part of 3, so those are special.
I guess being able to train athletes at that level, is there a difference in your, I guess, experience, in your perspective from training elite athletes at that level compared to, when you were at the collegiate level? Do you do anything differently? Do you kind of still stick to the basics in terms of training?
Yeah, like Coach Riley says, the fundamentals. So we stick with the fundamentals, but you also, it's a different age now, where athletes need more. With social media, they see all kinds of exercise. Oh, why aren't we doing this, doing that? So you got to throw in, they got to be fundamentally sound, but
Right.
much more variety now than back in the day.
Okay. And I guess what would you, so we talked a little bit about recovery before. You know, basketball can be an intense sport, especially depending on what level you're at with the travel, with the, I guess, just the kind of grind of the season. So how would you recommend coaches kind of approach the recovery side in that sense?
Number one, sleep.
Okay.
If they can talk their athletes into the importance of it, we had a slide. There was a sleep study out at Stanford that did with the Stanford basketball. It's pretty famous. People Googled it, but they slept about almost an hour and a half more. And once that happened, 3-point shooting way up, free throws way up, recovery quicker.
Okay.
They just looked at sleep, and it made a huge difference.
Okay.
They
Wow.
throw in looking at nutrition because some guys, it's interesting in NBA, some guys, the big battle is keeping weight on throughout the season, make sure they eat. And then some guys, they can put on weight. So we would monitor and check weight and body fat regularly, and that makes a difference. We used to, back in the day, track performance to weight and body fat.
Okay.
Because of Coach Riley wanted to know, and it was amazing. Guys creep up just a little bit, their performance goes down. So we're known for the weight and body fat because we've seen what it does to performance.
Okay. So would you say then, as far as like at the in-season training, is it more just about maintenance for them and just making sure that they're kind of maintaining that, I guess, what they need to do in terms of their physical abilities to stay on track for the season?
Yeah, it's a long season of basically maintenance. You want to maintain strength. Guys playing all those minutes, you don't want to push them in the weight room to get stronger. We did that in the off season. Now let's maintain, because conditioning, recovery, that's just more stress on the body. So it's twice a week maintenance. Young guys not getting minutes, we work them out like off season, get them ready for summer league in the next year, where they would be on like a 4-day split off season program with some young guys. If they're not you're getting minutes, you got to back off and be smart.
I guess that's a good point there. Then can you speak to that as far as like how individualized some of the programs might have to be, just based on activity level that during your season?
Yeah, exactly. Not only activity level, but issues that have come up that from our athletic trainers and physical therapists. Oh, watch this, and this. Everybody's customized. They have their own program based on minutes played, their body, any issues. So yeah, with 15 athletes, you can get very specific with each athlete.
Okay. So I'm sure we have a lot of strength coaches listening to this. Maybe we have basketball coaches that don't have as much of a strength training background. What are, again, speaking to your experience, what are maybe some core exercises, some primary exercises that they might be able to use with their athletes to try to get them in shape?
Well, you look at the 5 areas and make sure they're covering those, but they gotta make sure they have good technique. But squats or deadlifts, you got to do the compound movements.
Okay.
I wouldn't have a basketball coach do Olympic lifts because it's very technical, but that's one of the best things to do for athletes as well. But like even for the hips, they could do bridges, weighted bridges, pushing movements, pulling horizontal and vertical. If they did those 4 for the upper body, the key for athletes, legs, hips, core, but you want a strong, balanced upper body for durability as well. So those 4, pushing, pulling, hit the core. And then squats. legs, hips, core, push, pull. If they're that, and they're athletes in great shape, condition wise, they're going to see a difference.
Okay. Now I know, like I kind of mentioned, we might have a lot of people who work in pro sports, collegiate sports, but is also that audience of, high school club sports that might be listening to this, trying to get some insight in what they can do with their basketball athletes. What message can you have to them in general in terms of, what to prioritize when it comes to training basketball players and, preparing them to be their best?
Okay. Conditioning, they condition, but in the weight room, legs, hips, and core, if they just have a little time, you want total body strong and balanced, but legs, hips, and core are real key. And if they talk to their players, that give it a try, it's a game changer for young athletes. High school kids, you can tell the ones that have trained, big difference. The other ones just out there has never done weight training.
And you mentioned that at the very beginning of your career, you did work in high school sports. So I guess, and you said that there was a huge difference that you saw in, winning after you started those strength training programs. So I guess what was the biggest surprise to you, or what stood out to you most during that time for you?
They all became better athletes. They got bigger and started winning. I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to develop athletes. And yeah, that was the moment.
Okay. I guess just one more here. Like I said, you've had a long, successful career. What's something that has stood out to you most about your career in basketball strength training?
Man, just working with the athletes,
Okay.
train so hard, and they're good guys, and I just wanted to connect with them. Strength coach, that's the key. You got to have that connection. When you have that connection, they just buy in, and seeing them develop and become great athletes, that's what I like the best.
Okay. So, like I said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I want to be respectful for that. I know you're in the middle of your season, with everything you're doing with the Heat, but this has been a great conversation. I encourage everyone listening, if you haven't got your copy yet, go ahead and grab your copy of Complete Conditioning for Basketball. It's available on the Human Kinetics website, us.humankinetics.com, as well as Amazon. I know there's some people that have already put up some good reviews there, some people that have already purchased the book there. So like we mentioned earlier, 12 chapters highlighting a lot of things that we talked about, from player assessment, movement prep, mobility training, strength, power, core training, speed and agility, on-court conditioning, recovery, reconditioning. So much information in this one book. There are exercise demonstrations with photos, sample programs to help kind of guide you through the process. I have to mention that this is all insight from years of experience, from Coach mentioned at the beginning, from some of the top strength coaches in the National Basketball Strength and Conditioning Association. There are guys like, I'm probably going to leave some of them out, but Willie Cruz, Dwight Dowd, Felipe Eichenberger, I saw your son, Eric Foran, Kevin Hyde, Jonathan Lee, Andrew Paul. I'm probably going to end up leaving some of those out. Daniel Shapiro, I think, was in there. So much knowledge within this one book. I know you can find even more information about them on the NBSCA website. That's a great resource there. So again, thank you so much for your time. I will give you the last word here to kind of wrap it up. And if you can, let everyone know where they might be able to keep learning from you and all these other coaches that helped with the book.
Yeah. Yes, I guess the best thing was through the NBSCA website, where they could reach out. But yeah, we're so proud of the book. We've got such good reviews. So I think the audience would really enjoy it. It's in depth and up to date. That's a big thing. And it's always, this is my fourth book with human kinetics, and Ted Miller's always been there for me. So it's been a good fit.